Welcome back, it's Llama Paints Minis, and today I'm going to use this little hobgrot from the Auric War Clans of Age of Sigmar to show a level 1 version of non-metallic metal. I get a lot of questions about it. It's a boogeyman for some painters, but I'm going to show you this little circle here on its chest plate and then this little blade. So two different shapes that are rather simple and small, and I think that's important to start that way. Here we're using the paints conveniently titled the Non-Metallic Metal Set from Pisarski by Kimera. And we're just going to grab three colors. We've got Morning Sky, that's sort of gray-blue, Cloudy Sky, a warm white-gray, and then Sun Ray, which is like an ice yellow or yellow-white. I've got my trusty Arrowhead size 0 Kolinsky Sable brush by Kimera. And we're going to use no more than that. We're not going to add anything to the paint. We're not going to do any blending on the model. I'm just going to show you some basics, or what I like to call a level 1 non-metallic metal. So here I'm just mixing the first two together on my wet palette to sort of desaturate the blue just a little bit. You can keep it blue, you don't have to do what I'm doing here. This was just a personal preference. So I'm mixing up a couple of colors here, and we're going to go right through those stages without doing really anything in between. And we're not going to use any techniques such as glazing, stippling, or wet blending. We're not going to do anything like that. We're just going to go right through the colors. And we aren't even going to introduce anything such as reflective lighting or scratches and battle damage, rust, patina, or verdigris. None of that. Just going to go straight through the colors. So we'll start with the blade. This is pretty straightforward. And I'm going to grab my first color here and see how I'm loading the brush. I grabbed a little more of the base blue there, but I run the brush all the way through, get the bristles thoroughly loaded, and you can twist it to a point or draw it to a point, however you want. And I'm just testing it out on my thumb here to make sure it's flowing the way I want it, to remove any excess paint. And now, nothing fancy. I'm just going to drag the brush across. This is a very small surface. It'll pull off the brush what it wants, which is exactly what we needed there. And then since I zenithal prime, it's sort of dark on the underside, and that's going to play to our advantage. So I'm just going to create one little sort of secondary or reflective light there on the bottom. That's it. And then I'll pick out the edges. And we're just going to focus on this one side of the blade for now, but you could do the same thing to either side. And so now I'll go into the second color once that's dry. And again, this particular signature set by Kimera is very convenient because it has most of the colors you'd really ever need to do non-metallic metal, silver, anything in that, or steel, anything in that line. And so now I'm going to do, with the second color here, back to the mini, the same thing I did the first time, but I'm just going to decide for myself where the primary light's going to be. I get asked this question a lot. How do I know where to place my light with non-metallic metal? And there's really not a secret to it. I mean, you can go out and look at metallic objects and see the way the light reflects or bends off of it. But as far as a miniature goes, you really get to pick that primary light. You get to decide where it is. It can behave a little differently from the rest of the model even if you want to. Like, I know you want the ambient or atmospheric light to always be consistent across your model, but with non-metallic metal, remember that the object isn't realism, it's believability. You're creating an illusion that reads as believable metal. So you can pick that primary light, and there I just put it kind of middle left on the top of the blade. Otherwise, yeah, you put it wherever you like. And then you just be consistent around the model with any metallic parts. Now here I'm drawing on the edges because it's important when you're creating the illusion of metal to know that a lot of times metal objects are hard or sharp. And so for readability on something so small, we just want to make those edges a hard line, and so they seem sharp. So again, I have my primary light there in the middle, and then I've surrounded the entire blade with a line, edge highlight, if you will. and I have that secondary light on the bottom part of the blade, the darker part of the blade, just for effect. You don't have to do that if you don't want. I'm going to step up here to the third color. I'll do one more as a final highlight, but same thing. I'm going to draw inside my primary light, just little downward strokes or whichever way is easiest for you. And then again, I'll pick out the edge so that it's got a little bit more definition. And already you're starting to see that illusion of a blade of metal of some sort. It's starting to read the way we want it to. And again, I've done no blending. And whoops, and there I did a little finger blend because I blobbed a little too much on the tip of his dagger there. But then, yeah, just drawing a nice, and a brush with a good tip makes, this possible here where you can just kind of draw a nice edge. Line down the middle, you got to be a little more careful with, but you can still kind of follow the same guideline as normal edge highlighting. And just like that, his blade already reads like metal. It's very shiny and tinted a little blue, so it might feel like maybe it's an ice blade of some kind, or maybe not something a typical goblin would carry. But again, we can, at later stages, always do things more advanced to add effects. And I'm just going to take that final color, that sun ray, mix it with a little bit of the gray. And there you can see on my thumb, it's a final highlight. It's basically like an off-white that's ever so slightly warm. And I'll just do like a specular light. Just sort of a dot in the middle of my primary reflection. Pick out the edges. And just like that, you've got a pretty convincing non-metallic metal blade. Very simple. Obviously, the larger the surface, the more you have to do with light, but that's a more advanced video. We can do it another time. Now I'm going to do this stud here on his makeshift armor plate. And here, again, because I did a zenithal prime, it's actually going to be even easier. We don't even have to paint the entire circle. Now, it's a circle within a circle, but it's so small that I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to paint my primary color here on like the upper half, and then do sort of one dot on the lower half as like a secondary light, a bounce light, just like that. And already, because the fact that I zenithal primed, that illusion is already believable. It's already got like a horizon line in it as if it were some sort of chrome. Now, you don't have to zenithal prime. You could do this without the zenithal prime and maybe just choose a darker color to start with. And now, same thing, I'm just walking up the different mixtures that I've made and choosing a smaller circumference each time. And this is, again, a very small model. It's 28 millimeter scale, but he's a Hobgrot, similar to a Goblin or a Gretchen, so he's very little. So I don't need that much paint. But you can see here that brush is, I've used it a lot. It's pretty beat up, and I'm still able to do this without any trouble. The fact that this surface is round sort of lends itself to how this brush works, because now I can just sort of poke the spot that I want with the highlight. Now right there we could be done and just leave it. And if you wanted to be fancy, you could do all 6 of the studs on his armor plate as each one gets higher or closer to the sky facing upwards. You could make those brighter than the bottom ones. Now here, the only thing I'm trying to do with the primary light on this armor stud is just have it match the blade, right? So I picked that kind of upper left facing light source, and so I just matched it. That's all I did. It adds an element of believability. So I hope that was useful to you. You can watch this and other tutorials on the Dracoya YouTube channel, and any of the products shown can be purchased at dracoya.com. Till next time.